The Lake Erie Grape Discovery Center is the official visitor center for the New York State Lake Erie Concord Grape Belt Heritage Area. Supporting and promoting the grape industry, visit us and learn about grape growing history in the Lake Erie region. Shop for grapey gifts, taste local wine in a Concord vineyard. Westfield Memorial Hospital provides high-quality health care to residents of Western New York, offering patients the most sophisticated medical advancements while keeping the ease and familiarity of a community hospital. Support for Chautauqua Sunrise has been provided by WRFA 107.9 FM, Jamestown's public radio station, streaming online 24/7 at WRFALP.com. Low power to the people. Funding is provided by a grant from New York State Senator Catherine M. Young, representing Western New York's 57th District with a local office in Olean. Chautauqua Sunrise is made possible by a grant from Fredonia Place, a continuing care retirement community providing dignity in a modern luxury environment. Meter's Restaurant, a family tradition for over 50 years in downtown Ripley, is a proud supporter of Chautauqua Sunrise. Meter's provides all-day dining, banquet services, and custom catering, specializing in pie. From the Access Channel 5 studios in Mayville, it's Chautauqua Sunrise. Chautauqua Sunrise is hosted by Doc Hamels and supported by the award-winning volunteers at Access Channel 5. Continuing the traditions of Senior Report, we are here to share local news, colorful interviews, and events of interest to everyone. Chautauqua Sunrise is broadcast live Saturday mornings each week, countywide, from 9 to 10 a.m. Join us by calling in live, emailing us, or checking out our social media. And now, from the Channel 5 studios, it's Chautauqua Sunrise.
Hey, good morning, and just to let you know, this is June 24th. I'm pre-recording this show for you, so it's actually June 17th, but for your purposes, it's June 24th. I'm going to try to stay in the future here and not goof myself up too much. So to let you know, since it's pre-recorded, there's not going to be an opportunity for you to call in or ask questions, but you can always follow up later on with my guests if you need to, or send us an email and we'll get back to you on things like that. One of the things I want to thank everybody, and you might say, what am I thanking you for? This show will bring an end to 3 years of Chautauqua Sunrise, and we'll be starting our 4th season. It's hard to believe, after this week. So I want to thank the crew, my volunteers, Randy Burt, my trusty sidekick here as cameraman, his sons Justin and Chris, who do all kinds of things here at the studio, Jeff Zook, who's our head engineer, and of course Chuck Kelsey, who's the godfather of the studio here. They make everything effortless for me to show up here every week and bring in a guest for a variety of topics and things. And I think we've pretty much stayed true to our mission, being we're talking about the good things here in Chautauqua County, or the things you should know. We try to be informative, but yet we don't sugarcoat things here. We tell it like it is. So again, for those of you who have been with me from day one, thanks for supporting us. We're doing well on Facebook. And if you haven't had the opportunity, go to Facebook, just put Chautauqua Sunrise. Give us a like, will you? And as we go along, we post things from time to time. You get to know what's coming up in the following week's programs and so forth. And from time to time, Randy gives me a crazy picture that we put out there with birds coming out my ears or something or other. So we have a lot of fun here at the studio. Okay, today we are not live because, as I mentioned last week or earlier in the today in the real time frame, that four of us that are associated here at the studio are right now in Buffalo area. Probably Randy and I figured we'd be somewhere up in Canada at this point, but we're doing the Ride for Roswell. Randy, Bert, and I are teaming up, and we're going to do the 44-mile ride, which is leaving from Roswell, and it's going to go up through Canada and come back. I think it's over the Rainbow Bridge and then up to the UB campus. Whew. So hopefully the next time you see me, I'll look just as good or not better than I do right now, probably sunburned. But great cause, and so I appreciate my guest coming in today, and he agreed to do a pre-record so that we could do what we need to do. So with no further ado, Joe Gerace, my friend and sheriff here in Chautauqua County, welcome back to the show.
Doc, great to be here.
We were just saying it's been a little bit of time since you've been here last. And I don't remember when you were here last time. It's been a while.
It has, yeah, and it's one of those things that schedules and
Yeah.
what have you, but it's a pleasure to be back, and hopefully you're doing really well right now in Canada or wherever you are, and the weather's good. And,
Yeah, let's hope so.
And kudos for giving your time and effort for a wonderful cause.
Well, and I know you do a lot of volunteering in so many ways as well, and thank you. I was just thinking, Joe, you and I have known each other for quite a while now. I mean, long before the show. I mean, we go back, I think, when you just were elected sheriff, and I somehow or another, I remember very, very early in your sheriff career, I think we ran into each other.
We did, and we had a lot of different connections, and probably the closest was when you were at BOCES, and we had so many partnerships. And
Oh, yeah.
those still continue. Those partnerships that you and I developed, we still do, and we have a substation at both the Laguitas and Hughes centers.
Yeah,
and
that gives me warm fuzzies when I see
Yeah,
that. It was good stuff. It was a good combination of your department supporting education and helping young kids to stay on the straight and narrow. And that was all kids. It wasn't just any particular kids. It was, trying to make sure that they didn't get, what's the word I want to say, lassoed into drugs or into other kinds of things that they could easily have fallen into. And yeah, you did good work. You're
stuff.
absolutely
And then,
right.
of course, all your efforts with the Chautauqua Children's Safety Education Village. And I can't thank you enough.
It pales in what you've done. I was just there to help out.
Well, you did a lot for us, and that's very much appreciated. And I think last year we reached over 4,000 kids, and numbers are keep going up. So
Right.
it's really good stuff.
Yeah, and we've been on the Chautauqua Opportunities Board together, so we have a lot of history, don't we? So it's good to see you this morning. And I said to you, why'd you wear a uniform? Because you should have worn your other uniform. You got a different job when you leave here today. What are you doing?
Well, I get involved in youth activities. I have a lot of children, but
Yes,
I'm now
you do.
coaching under 10 girls softball. Usually it's ice hockey, but my youngest plays softball, so if I'm going to bring her to the field, I might as well be engaged. And,
No, what's her name?
Mary. Mary's my youngest.
You got to say her name so when she watches the show, she says,
Yeah, that's right.
"You mentioned my name, I'm
My
famous."
little angel.
Because we always see Pippi all the time.
Yeah, Pippi, she's now 20. She is recovering from a major knee
From hockey?
reconstruction. Yeah, she was injured in a game. She plays for Cornell University for their Division I team, and she got hurt in February and ruptured her ACL, tore her MCL, had some meniscus damage, but went under the knife in March, and Dr. Mark Feinberg, who was the Buffalo Sabres physician, operated on her, and she's in recovery. Hope to be back for this coming season.
Awesome. Well, we wish her a speedy recovery.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're going to be coaching today, you said.
Yeah, I'll be coaching later today.
Okay.
It's a lot of fun. These young people are so much fun.
How old is Mary?
Mary's 10.
Oh, so
Yeah, so it's we got a wide range of ages, but it's wonderful to see these little people, and it's developmental. We're trying to teach them that's first base, that's third base. But it's
I
good.
helped coach, I think it was 5 and 6 year olds one year to play soccer.
yeah, that's the bumblebee time. They all bumblebee around the ball. Yeah.
They chase each other.
Yeah.
It's good fun, though. And eventually, somehow or another, they end up knowing what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff. Okay, well, Joe, in your office, you cover so much stuff, so many areas, and I read the media like everybody else, and And we always see the negative things, but you wanted to talk about something that's really more on the positive beat right off the bat. So let's talk about your EMT program. This is really cool stuff.
It is. One of the things that inspired it was listening to the fire services and working closely. Our brothers and sisters in public safety, we work with every day in mostly the volunteer fire services. But because of many, many factors, there are times when there are inadequate number of EMTs available to answer EMS calls.
Less and less every year, it seems.
It is, and some of it's just the overwhelming regulations and the amount of training and the commitment. And I looked at this and said, why are we having to dispatch 2 and 3 fire companies to get 1 EMT? And that's not a knock on the fire services at all. They're unbelievable. I can't think of any volunteer organization where people devote that kind of time and put their life on the line for their neighbors.
They've had my back, personally.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So what I said is, look, we're there sometimes before the fire services can be there. And in those occasions, we should be able to provide services. And what if we encouraged all the deputies to be EMTs? And it's a big jump, and
Well, I guess.
it's a lot of training. It's a very, very difficult process. And then the state exam is no piece of cake either, I'll tell you. So, and I know because you lead by example, I put myself through the EMT program.
You're an EMT?
I am an EMT, and I'm darn proud of it.
Good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you. And so now I'm thinking in the upwards of 20 deputies that either are currently EMTs or they're in training. I've incorporated it now into the Sheriff's Academy, which is the training for all law enforcement officers in Chautauqua County. So going forward, every law enforcement officer that graduates from the Sheriff's Academy will be an EMT.
Now, just looking from the outside, how can you require that? I mean, is that a non-negotiable?
Well, in the training end of things, it's part of the curriculum now.
Okay.
We've incorporated in the curriculum. Now, if they don't pass the EMT course, they still can pass the academy.
Right.
That we can't mandate that prevents them from being a police officer. But there's great interest by the recruits because they look at hiring opportunities. They're going to have preference over a non-EMT when it comes to...
Because Joe wants an EMT.
I want you to be an EMT. I want that out there. And,
All right.
and it's for the protection of the public and ourselves and our families and friends.
Is this something that's going across the country, the state, or is this just what came out of your mind?
Actually, the only other county that I'm familiar with in New York State that does is Rensselaer. They instituted a program years ago. I looked at it, modeled ours after it somewhat. And the deputies that are currently working, there's an incentive for them because we provide all the training and the equipment, and they also get a stipend if they maintain their EMT status while they're working.
So has the program been effective?
Wow, yeah, you
Wow,
bet.
okay.
And not only the EMTs, I'll be this Wednesday awarding a deputy who's not an EMT yet, but every one of my people carry an AED in their car. We've been doing that since 1996. We've saved numerous people with our defibrillation program. But this EMT, or this non-EMT rather, deputy, Chris Howlett is his name, he was involved last November with another deputy, Jason Beekner, responded to a motorcycle accident where the injured party had a full amputation of his leg.
Oh my gosh.
And when they arrived there, a passerby had tied a shirt around this guy's leg, but they applied 2 tourniquets to his leg and prevented him from bleeding out.
Wow.
And the Starflight crew called me from ECMC and said, had it not been for these 2 guys, he wouldn't be here.
Wow.
And then Chris, just now it's going to be about a week and a half ago, did it again in another motorcycle crash. The victim had a massive leg injury. Chris applied a tourniquet, and I talked to one of the EMTs from the fire department and said the guy wouldn't have made it. So those are a couple examples. There's many, many more, and more to come.
Okay. I know we're pre-recorded, but somehow I have a phone call. So, I guess, good morning, caller.
Hey, Doc, where'd you go? I'm in a we're in the ride for Rodsville. We're on the
We're not really here in the studio right now, that's true. We're somewhere
how
in
did you get to
Canada.
the studio? You were ahead of me on the ride for Roswell, and I got up to the customs guy, and he said something about some guy told him that I was going to take his picture and Photoshop him. So he kept me at the border for like 2 hours.
I was wondering where you were. We're in the future now. We're making history in the future as we speak. So that's where you went. So I'm probably halfway through the ride now. I think it's just. I think you made this. I think you made this up an excuse because you're slow.
No. They kept me there. They had to look through all my 257 pictures.
Oh my God!
Make sure I didn't have a customs officer in the picture, but
all right.
I lost you. I do get a question, because I think you might have Sheriff Gerace on there.
Oh.
Yeah. Just a little. Can you, when you get a chance, I'll be watching the show and replay. But can you talk about bike safety? Are bicycles allowed on the road, or are we supposed to ride on the sidewalk?
There are more and more bikers, including myself now, Joe, and it's confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Some towns you go and there's a bike path, and then there's other places there's nothing. You see bikers riding the wrong way. You see bikers riding without helmets. So is that what you want, Randy?
Yes, yeah. I was riding a couple of weeks ago, and I had somebody holler out the window and tell me to get on the sidewalk, and it's like, I didn't think bikes were allowed to ride on the sidewalk, especially like in towns. So I'm going to get back to my ride here so I can maybe
catch up with me. All right, well, I'll see you in the future.
Yeah, I'll see you at the finish line, maybe.
Okay.
Thanks
All
a
right,
lot.
thanks, Randy. All right, bike safety.
And hopefully no one's yelling out the window at you right now, wherever you are. But the rules of the road, the bicycles are allowed to utilize the road. They're not supposed to be on the sidewalk. That's for pedestrian use. Bicyclists have to obey the rules of the road.
Stop at stoplights.
Stop at stop signs, use hand signals.
Yep.
Unfortunately, helmets are not mandatory for adults, but they are for children.
But I'm recommended, I would think. I have mine right here.
That is, I've seen in my career so many occurrences of bicycle incidents where that helmet was the difference between life and death. And
I don't go out without it.
And you never should. And it could be the simplest thing, a fall off your bike.
A dog chasing you all of a sudden.
Anything, some unforeseen circumstance. You blow a tire, you hit a pothole that you didn't know. But it could be something much more than that. Somebody, some other vehicle doesn't see you. So our recommendation to bicyclists are, use good common sense. Be defensive all the time. You can't assume that the motorists are paying attention to you. We have that issue with motorcycles as well. Wear bright, reflective colors. If you're going to ride at night, you have to be thinking about visibility. And the safety part of it, that's something we are proud of at the Children's Safety Village. We're now giving a curriculum to all kids from around the county.
Talk about segue, wow.
Yeah. And that was one of our mainstays to start with, is that nowhere in the county did we have a unified curriculum for bike safety. Most communities weren't getting any bike safety.
Right.
So we're getting that now, and we'll see these young people moving up to adults that have been through bike safety training and they received the helmet, and hopefully they'll be wiser bicyclists. But as motorists, we got to be thinking about that too. The bicycles have a right to the road, and we have to be aware of the good weather. We're going to see a lot more bicycles, a lot more motorcycles, and we have to yield to them and give them the roadway. You talked about communities. This is a big push across the county. I chair the Traffic Safety Board for Chautauqua County. We talk about bicycle safety regularly, and we talk about some of the communities that are developing bike lanes, which will make it easier for everybody.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful way. We're looking, State DOT now, with new reconstruction projects, are looking at bike avenues to try to help the bicycling community.
Okay, so the rule of thumb is bicycles go with traffic. If the cars are going west, you ride west.
Correct.
You're not in the other lane facing traffic, you're with traffic. What about pedestrians when they're walking country roads? It's the opposite.
It's the opposite, yes. And teach your kids that too, that you want to be able to see what's coming at you. But with a bicycle, you're a vehicle, you're not a motor vehicle. but you have to apply the rules of the road. You don't go against traffic, you ride with traffic.
And when you're walking, something bright, and you're facing the traffic, so when the lights hit you, they see you, have a flashlight, reflective material and stuff like that, because people get that all mixed up. And it's amazing to me to this day that you'll see people all dressed in black on the side of the road, on the wrong side,
Right.
with their back to you, and you don't know it's a human being to the last second.
Well, the biggest thing really one of the major things, not necessarily the biggest, but with all traffic safety, visibility. And this is one of my pet peeves as motorists. You want to be seen. Turn your lights on when it's
yeah.
appropriate. and some vehicles, their lights on all the time. But in the law in New York State is if it's raining, if your wipers are being used, whether they're delayed or they're full wipers, your lights need to be on. In the wintertime, you want to be seen. When I'm talking at the Traffic Safety Board with one of the town highway superintendents, and he said, one of our biggest bugaboos when we're plowing, we need to see you. Turn on your lights.
Absolutely.
And it drives me crazy to see motorists without their lights on.
Okay, good advice for riders, bikers, drivers, everything. Let's get into the not-so-fun things here. Drugs. And the thing that has hit me lately was, see if I'm right, Joe, because you and I have talked about this. You've been, I don't know if you promote this or want this or suggest this, but there's been a lot of people that have been incarcerated for very, very low-level drug-related charges, and they languish in prison or in jail. The government, I'm hearing now, is starting to talk about mandatory drug charges for those very low-level charges. Am I on the right path here, or what's going on?
Well, not necessarily. I would say that a large majority of people that are incarcerated in the Chautauqua County Jail are there because of drugs or other drug, alcohol. And their crimes aren't necessarily drug crimes, but they're drug
Because
related.
of the drugs.
Right, the burglary.
So it
they
wasn't
committed.
because they were using marijuana or they sold
Right.
marijuana?
There is no one in our jail that's in there for possession of marijuana.
Oh, okay.
Just it isn't going to happen because for many, many reasons. Simple possession is not, you can't incarcerate somebody for that.
It's more like a
It'd have to be
Ticket.
sales or grow, etc. But the majority of those drug users that we have in the jail we're talking methamphetamine, heroin, of course, cocaine, sales, possession. It's a problem. It's a problem nationwide. We're no exception. We have our issues. Overall, this is a unbelievably safe community. We're not perfect, and I'm not in any way endorsing this, but I could probably go around here in the village of Mayville and find unlocked houses, unlocked cars, keys in cars. That would be unheard of in other places in the nation. So we have a safe community. But we have drugs, and it's a drug epidemic nationwide. Now, one of the things that we're working with the Commissioner of Health and Human Services, Christine Schuyler, she now, HHS as we call it, Health and Human Services, now provides the medical end of the jail. We used to do that internally. We've shifted all the medical to the Department of Health and Human Services. So we're talking with them about a Vivitrol program, and I'm very much supportive of Vivitrol. Vivitrol is a blocking agent to opiates. So it's not Narcan. Narcan is an antidote. So when someone overdoses, our deputies and EMS and others are providing Narcan to bring them back from death. They're going to die. And that's another thing that deputies carry as EMTs, and we all carry it, is Narcan. But Vivitrol is a blocking agent. When someone is injected with Vivitrol, they cannot get high for 28 days after the injection. They cannot get any effect of an opiate. So what we want to do is incorporate that with a sentence, if you will. Someone comes in and they're a user, we are going to detox them when they're in jail, because you can't give Vivitrol to somebody that's currently under the influence of opium. They go through instant withdrawal, which is dangerous. So once they're detoxed, my vision is that using probation as a tool, we would enter them into a program, release them from jail with an injection of Vivitrol.
And is this with their permission?
Yeah, well, yeah, this would have to be an agreement
Okay.
and a contract, between the parties, and of course the DA and the public defender have to be involved. But what we know, and this is stunning, that when someone leaves incarceration, jail specifically, because it's a little confusing, people mix it up with prison,
Right.
but everyone in jail, jail houses, I should say everyone, but a majority of people are pre-sentenced. We have sentenced as well, but everybody in prison is sentenced to more than a year. Jail, you're sentenced to less than a year, or you have not yet been sentenced. You're awaiting trial.
Right.
So my goal is to see them enter the program, agree to be injected with Vivitrol, and then, of course, get them connected to drug rehab once they're out, and then bring them back in toward the end of that 28-day cycle of effectiveness and re-inject them. But I was getting to is statistically, people that leave jail that are addicted to heroin have over 1,000 times greater chance of overdose in the first 2 weeks of them leaving jail than any other time.
Sure, they want to get right back to it, and
They've already
it's
been
like,
detoxed.
It's like you haven't had candy forever, and then the first thing you do is go to the store and eat as much candy as you can. So if they're on the Vivitrol, what if then they take this?
It doesn't affect them.
Nothing
They could
happens.
take it. In fact, I met with a physician from Oasis, the state organization, and he said you could take enough heroin to put an elephant down when you're on Vivitrol, and it won't affect you.
What
So-
happens on day 29?
Well, then they start coming back. So if they're on probation, and probation says you will be back on the 25th day, and either continue or we violate your probation and put you back in jail.
Can you get another injection?
Yes. The downside right now is the cost. Cost is off the charts.
Oh my.
And like any thing that we see in the medical world, when it first comes effective,
sure.
the price is way up, and then as it starts to be more prevalent, we see the prices come down.
Unless you own EpiPens.
Yeah, exactly. But we're working now. The state has a grant, and they want to look at us as an area that they're interested in investing money. So it wouldn't be a cost to the local taxpayers. Save the lives of a lot of people who are addicted, and hopefully get them on the right track.
So Vivitrol, how long has this been around now?
I can't tell you for sure, but it came to my attention last year. We're going through this transition, moving our medical to Health and Human Services. So we obviously wanted to wait till we got our feet on the ground there, which is a huge plus. I mean, this is a big event for us. Never in the history of the Sheriff's Office that I know of has another provider done all the health services for us. So they are now providing the nursing staff and the physician, and then eventually we'll see a better product for those that are incarcerated. And the goal is that the HHS is going to have them when they're released too. So they'll have this continuum of care,
Right.
and it'll be
Excellent.
better for those that are incarcerated.
So you said, just get back to the cost of Vivitrol, is this covered by people's insurance, or?
Well, initially it would be part of this program.
Okay.
That would be funded by the state. And then I understand now that it is Medicaid reimbursed, so if they continue afterwards, because we're talking about an injection that's more than $2,000 an injection.
Small price to pay for a life.
I believe it is. And-
But half the folks that got themselves maybe in the situation didn't have a whole lot to begin with because they've been stealing or whatever.
It very well could be. And here's what I think folks might feel differently about or have opinions of. I feel that some folks have opinions that those that are abusing heroin are, the typical, stereotypical heroin
Yeah.
den,
The seedy side of life.
This is impacting all walks of life. And part of that is because this epidemic comes from prescription pharmaceuticals. In many cases, they start with prescription pharmaceuticals, and they move to heroin because that prescription is maybe not effective, or it's run out, or they've overused it because of pain management, and now they don't have any, and they go to the street to buy illegal pharmaceuticals, and they're so expensive. For instance, a 60 milligram Oxycontin tablet on the street is about $60 a tablet. A bundle of heroin is about $10, and depending where you are, it might even be as low as $4.
Okay. And when I meant stealing, I don't necessarily meant people are stealing, like breaking into houses, but they're stealing from their savings, from their spouses. They're using up their paychecks, and I mean, it's stealing. It's a form of stealing to keep their habit going. I mean, this has been going on forever in all walks of life, and like you said, it crosses all economic, social, religious groups and things like that. And it's really a shame. So this Vivitrol sounds pretty promising then.
It does. I'm not going to say it's going to be the solution to our issue at all, but it could be a lifesaver for people that may be affected by that high percentage of people that die overdose after they leave the jail, and we're in a sense killing them without attempting to.
While you've been talking, I've been having voices in my head. Questions are coming from the crew here because we don't have call-ins. So the question is, if I got it right, was you guys have knocked down the door, you raid the place, there's guns, there's money, there's whatever. What happens to all the money and all the weapons and whatever?
Well, the money, if it can be proved that it was part of the drug trade, can be seized. There's a very sophisticated process to take assets from drug dealers, and those we utilize the federal government, usually through the Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, and then we would do a seizure request through them, and then there's a process. People have a due process, so they have a right to have a hearing about whether that money should be seized or not. If it is indeed seized, then it's shared through a process. The federal government takes 20%, and then the agencies working on that case would share in the proceeds based on the amount of man-hours that they have in the case. And then those proceeds have to be used for very specific purposes. You just, you can't go out and do whatever you want with it.
Charity ball.
What we found is the amount of seizures have gone down dramatically for two reasons. One is the rules are much more stringent now because of misuse, if you will, in the past. But also, drug dealers are smarter. They're leasing instead of buying. They're trying to hide their cash the best that they can, physically and through bank accounts, and washing that money, laundering that money. So we haven't had the kind of seizures that we did in the old days when they took everything. But that's what would happen with the guns. A lot of them are stolen, so we obviously do a tracking on the guns. If they're used in the commission of crime, by law we have to destroy them. That's part of New York State penal law, that a gun that's used in the commission of a crime has to be destroyed. So,
going back to my original question about, and I'm hearing this, and now maybe I'm not understanding it, but at the federal level, I'm assuming Congress, are they trying to put in minimum sentences for drug-related kinds of activities, or any crime, that are mandatory?
Well, they've been all over the board, and I mean, we as a society have been all over the board with intermittent sentencing versus determinate sentencing, where you have a minimum you have to do based on the type of crime. Judges will argue that they need the leeway because every case is different, every person is different, and as prisons get overcrowded, then we start looking more at indeterminate sentencing, giving the judges the liberty to do that. I've mixed emotions about that. I don't know that it's necessarily effective, and I think we have to be smarter in how we sentence people, and more intelligent sentencing. Just sitting in jail isn't necessarily going to be better for us in society or the defendant, in some cases.
Okay. Just was interested in your readers on that, because I keep hearing this stuff. I'd like to move on to a topic that I have never discussed on TV before with you. And I've seen posters on this, I've seen articles on this, and quite frankly, I was appalled. Human trafficking. I've never talked about this, and so this is my first opportunity. What's going on with this in this county? Is it true?
Well, it's everywhere. I mean, when you have situations where people are brought into this country, for lack of a better term, illegally, or that they're utilized for either labor or in some cases for sexual purposes. It's a reality, and it's a reality everywhere. You can't put your head in the sand and say it's not happening here. It very well could be.
So how the heck do you know that someone is being held against their will to work or whatever? I mean, I guess it's just eyes open, ears open.
It is,
and
you know, and a lot
something
of
doesn't
these,
seem quite right.
and a lot of these cases come to the attention of law enforcement through the community, and they say this doesn't look right. That if you see something, say something. So that's a lot of times how we come upon it. It might be an encounter with law enforcement that, you know, their antenna go up and say something's wrong here, and we investigate it. And it might be a victim coming forward saying, you know, I need help. And that could be a 911 call. They finally get an opportunity to do that. But it is reality.
Is it common here?
I don't think we have the same level of issue here as other areas of the country do, mostly because of the geographics and the size. The smaller you are, the more attention is paid to details. But I can't say that it's not happening.
Okay. So once again, if something, you see certain houses that people go in and you don't see them coming out a lot, or it's okay for people to call them.
Absolutely. We
Check it out,
encourage
huh?
people. We'd much rather investigate something and find it to be unfounded. And this goes with all kinds of types of crimes, but especially in this era of terroristic attacks and lone wolf attacks, things that don't look right should be pushed up the food chain.
I have a question. At what point does calling the police work, Chris? Oh, false claim. If somebody calls, is there a penalty if I were to call up and say, hey, I think that's a crack house, and it turns out it's not? Is there any penalty on that?
Not if your intention is valid. If you're calling it to make something up, if you're filing a false claim knowing that it's false, that's different than calling because you're suspicious.
Okay.
You know, if you're calling because you don't like your neighbor and you're going to make up a story, that's filing a false instrument, and that's punishable by law. If you're calling because you see something that's suspicious and it turns out not to be, then absolutely not. It's a good Samaritan.
Okay. So it's better to err on the side of calling than worrying about down the road.
Yeah,
Like you say.
we get cases like that. There's a vehicle, I know my neighbors, they're on vacation, there's a vehicle on their driveway, or something doesn't quite look right. Or I heard yesterday a call over the radio that a neighbor heard breaking glass at the house next to them. And so those kinds of things we encourage the public to talk to us about. We can't be everywhere all the time.
Okay, now, this came to my memory that I'm supposed to ask you this question. Mary Ann Spanos was on the show not too long ago, and I presented to her a scenario that I was part of at my own house, a potential scam. Okay, and you jump in anytime you want. Phone caller says, hey, Grandpa,
Oh, boy.
take it
I'm
away,
gonna jump
take
in
it
right
away.
now. You want to get me going on scams. Let me just give the biggest piece of advice I can give to everybody, and I know a lot of seniors watch your show, and I tell my mom and dad this all the time: don't answer the phone. Don't answer the telephone unless you know it's your loved ones. Let it go to voicemail. We're being in this nation, we're being bombarded with telemarketers, scammers, and they're not from the United States. They're calling you from places like Nigeria, Pakistan, Russia, and
Philippines.
everywhere. And the grandparent scam, let me tell you a real quick story. I was packing my equipment to go give a presentation in Clymer to a senior group. I got a phone call from my father. He said, at the time, my daughter was playing ice hockey for a team outside of Toronto.
I'm laughing because I had the same phone call. Go ahead.
And it's the grandparent scam. And my daughter was living with another family. The term's called billeting.
Yes.
And so the phone call came from my father. He goes, Joe, I need to talk to you. And I could tell just from his voice something wasn't okay. And I go, what's going on? And he said, well, Pippi's been in a little accident. She's okay. And I go, what's going on? He said, well, she went on to explain, your mom got a call from Pippi. She hit a car and she broke her nose. And she's been arrested for driving under the influence. I go, Dad, it's a scam. He goes, pardon me? I go, it's a scam. He goes, how do you know it's a scam? I go, it's a scam, Dad. Let me tell you right now. And I text my daughter. Of course, she didn't answer.
Right.
But she was. Then I text her billet mom, the family she was living with, and said I just dropped her off at the gym. She was doing a workout. And so what they do They use social media to make the connections. If you think about the money made here, Doc, so I'm in a faraway country, and I get on Facebook.
Right.
I start, I use that for
Easy
example.
peasy.
And I start looking at your associations, and I go, oh, okay. So I make the call. Finding our phone number is not a big lift anymore.
No.
And I can have all these things that make sense to you. And they use fear, hope, and greed to get us hooked. And in some cases, this is the fear case where they make you fearful. And so eventually I asked my mother, tell me what this call, how it sounded from start to finish. And she said, well, I said hello. Okay, I got that. But there's a young girl on the other end of the phone.
Grandma.
And she goes, Grandma?
Yeah.
And my mom, of course, says, yeah? She says, this is your granddaughter.
Yes.
And she said, Karen? And that's my sister's daughter. And the girl said, no. And she said, Pippi? That's my daughter's nickname.
Yeah.
And she goes, yeah, it's Pippi. And my mom said, you don't sound like Pippi. Grandma, I've broken my nose. I can hardly talk. And she's crying, in the background. And she went on to say that, don't tell my parents, I need your help so bad.
Yes, don't call my parents.
And that's trying to lock you in. And then you promise. And of course,
Please don't.
My father said, when he called me, I didn't promise, so I'm calling you. So anyway, the next thing is I need help, Grandma. I need your help. And of course, in
jail.
this case,
She in jail?
someone else gets on the phone. No, she's at the police station.
Oh, okay.
The public defender
Yes.
gets on the phone and wants you to pay the fee, and of course wants to send you to some place that you can get them instant money.
Right
usually
now, 'cause-
Western Union. My mom was packing her bags to go down to the Western Union to get a $2,500 bail fee, and of course she didn't, but that's the fear.
Yes.
So don't answer your phone. Now, it's tough to talk to a generation who trusts, who has faith in other humans, and tell them you can't have faith anymore. You have to only deal with that with the people you know and the people you're connected with. If that phone call comes in, or that email, because some of the seniors are scammed, and not just seniors, but we're more susceptible to it. If they come in on email and it's not somebody that you're connected with, delete it.
Yes.
Don't answer the call. Let it go to voicemail. If it's urgent, you'll get another call. If it's really urgent, we'll come to your door.
Right.
We need you.
Right.
If it's your brother, sister, cousin, son, daughter, granddaughter, you know their numbers. Don't answer the phone. Now, I have hammered. My parents finally aren't answering the phone anymore.
Good. My dad doesn't.
It goes to voicemail. And I even told them, listen to the voicemail. As they're recording the message, you can always pick up the phone. That was, oh, gee whiz, I forgot. That's the insurance company. I need to talk to them.
Right.
The general rule of thumb, if someone calls you on the phone and wants your information, credit card, bank, whatever, don't do it. Get a number, do a little research, or
Call
go
them,
independently and get your number and call them. So many people are being taken by scams. I think this is important too. Western Union just paid, I believe, a $500 million settlement because they were sued for allowing people to be scammed. They knew darn well when they went to Western Union, we're taking $2,500 out and sending it, and everything's going to sound right. They're going to have a United States address to send it to. They're going to have this and that. It's all a game for them.
Yep.
Now the money, I started talking about that. If they can get a $2,500 hit a day, tax-free,
Life
do
is
the
good.
math.
Life is good.
Do the math.
Yep.
And what they're doing now, because the Western Union's cracked down, they go to MoneyGram, or they'll ask you to get an iTunes card. Can you imagine getting an iTunes card to bail your kid
I
out of
heard
jail?
Walmart cards.
Walmart, anything that's instant cash, because when they take that number from you over the phone or by email or by text, your money's gone. That card is worthless. Piece of paper, piece of plastic.
Unbelievable. So I had the same call, but we won't go, as I already talked about. Joe, I know you need to get going here pretty quick, but there is one that I do want you to talk about, fireworks. I live right on the PA border. There's all kinds of big stores there, and there's all kinds of rules, and it's really confusing for people.
You're not the only one that's confused by it, Doc. New York State passed a law allowing counties to make their own decision.
Okay.
In Chautauqua County now, they have allowed for everything to be lawful except for things that go bang.
Oh,
So the sparklers, if it's not an M80 and loud, explosive type fireworks, they're now lawful in the state.
So I'm not going to tell
in
you
this
about my
county.
neighbors at midnight that were blowing things off up in the hills somewhere last night, making my dog crazy.
Well, Pennsylvania has a different set of laws, but it's confusing because when New York State passed this legislation, it's county by county. But everyone paid attention to the state passing a lawful fireworks legislation, and they figured it was automatically lawful anywhere in the state of New York. That's not true. It's county by county sets
So you
the
gotta check the
rules.
rules.
And what I learned, the hard way, because it talks about sparklers, but sparklers are only one part of the sparkler family, which includes all kinds of different fireworks. I walked down and walked into a local store, actually had a fireworks tent outside shortly after the law was passed, and I questioned everybody about the fireworks that were present, ended up at OFPC, Office of Fire Prevention and Control, that regulates it, and learned that it's pretty much everything now except for things that go boom. Which is really hard because...
It's really hard because Roman candles, they,
Yeah,
they don't really...
things, they're not, there's, you look at specifically at the regulation, but all that groundworks that flares and flare up and sparkle, it's all lawful now.
Okay. Because you can legally, from New York State, go to Pennsylvania, buy them, but the boom
Right.
things, but you can't bring them there, back to New York State. And if you buy them in Pennsylvania, you can't fire them off in Pennsylvania
Right.
because it's illegal to have fireworks in Pennsylvania.
It's so confusing, and now with the change of the law, it's even harder for my deputies and all law enforcement because there's that fine line between especially when it's already expended.
Yeah.
You get a complaint, you go there, and it's already
gone.
gone. Before it was a lot simpler. It's here's the remnants of it. You can't have it. But now it's even more confusing and be harder to enforce.
Joe, I promised to get you out of here whenever you wanted to go, so you can check your time, and if you want to stay a little bit longer, it's entirely up to you, but is there anything that you want to share with folks at this point?
Well, I think we've talked about some of the, we started on the scam route. I really wanted to emphasize that. I think, if people have questions about a call or an email or an incident, we really encourage them to call and check it out. Be your own policeman. I think that this is a crime that's way underreported. It's happening much more often than we're told about because people are embarrassed. They're out the money. The chances of them getting it back are zip. Most cases, it's almost not going to happen because it's out of country. But if they report it to us, we can at least warn others. This is hitting the county. The most common scam going for a good period of time was the IRS scam. People are being bullied. The IRS, you owe them money, and the police are going to come get you. Well, they're not gonna
What
get
police?
you. Yeah. And I actually took this IRS scam. We started collecting information of the numbers that they were being told to call. So they'll call you, scare you, and then say, you need to call this number. Well, I called that number, and I talked, and I called it 30 times at least. And I taught those people some words that they probably didn't know existed in the English language. But eventually, I was able to talk. Somebody admitted they were calling from Pakistan.
Wow.
And so the IRS is not going to call you on the phone. They're not going to send law enforcement to your house. We're not coming to your house. It's not going to happen. So what I tell people is have fun with them. Talk to them. Have fun with them if you want to, or just hang up on them. But if you want to talk to them. I have all kinds of fun with them. And because they're far away, don't be fooled by the fact that phone call that comes up on your caller ID might have a local exchange. They can manipulate that through software.
Right.
So they can say 716, or it can say 736, or 763, or whatever the local exchanges are. That doesn't mean it's not coming from a foreign country. So you have to be in protection mode all the time.
So, excuse me, if someone gets his grandma or grandpa call, they should call your office and report it?
They absolutely can call us. It's a non-emergent call, so to our administrative number.
So not 911?
No, they don't need to call 911. It's not an emergency.
Just a general office?
Just a general, the 753-2131, or they can call my office at 753-4900. And then a lot of times what I'll do when we see more than one happening, and I'll put out a news release saying, beware.
Okay.
Beware of this kind of scam that's hit us. And there's many, many different types that are out there, and for every time we get the word out, they'll change direction.
Right.
And our best defense is knowledge. If the more and more people are knowledgeable about it, the less effective the scammers are.
You know, and I'll share this, and I'll put this right out there for my viewers and listeners, especially in WRFA over in Jamestown, listen to us as well on Tuesdays at 1 o'clock. If you have a scam and you haven't reported it and you're a little shy about it, call us here and share the story, and I'll let Joe know. All right, but let's all work together on this, because it is scary, it's painful sometimes, and it's wrong, and we should do something about it. And it's an easy fix, really.
Right.
Don't pick up the phone.
Exactly, and I do pride myself in my accessibility. I will call you. You know, if you call me and
Awesome.
I'm not right there, I will get back to you and do what we can to help you.
Joe, it's 11 o'clock. You need to roll. All right, buddy? So thanks for coming by, and we're going to break away for a public service announcement, and I got a few things to share with people. Thanks for coming by, as always, and tell Mary good luck with her game today.
Thank you very much. Good luck with your ride.
All right, so we're going to break for a public service announcement. That was Joe Gerace, and he always avails himself to the public. So we're going to let him go coach, and we're going to be right back after this public service announcement. Thank you.
They hold so much potential, and we'd give anything to make sure they're taken care of. They're the reason we go to work, the reason we stay home, the reason we worry, laugh, cry, and love. Our children and seniors represent the dreams and hopes of all of us. At the United Way of Southern Chautauqua County, we're working to build a better dream and create a greater hope. When you give to the United Way campaign, you're creating those dreams and hopes too. Let's build a better tomorrow. Invest in today.
Okay, folks, you've been listening to Chautauqua Sunrise, and hopefully you're still with us watching. And I wanted to mention, if I hadn't mentioned earlier, that I want to welcome all the folks from the Chautauqua area that have come back for the summer or here for vacation. And we want to let you know that we are happy that you're here, and the information that we share with you, of course, is all good stuff. So I invited my buddy Randy Burt back here. He's getting situated, but before I get to talk with him, I'm going to share some other information with you that's going on. Okay, we mentioned last week that the 14th Annual Local Music Showcase from Infinity is coming up on September 9th, and they're still looking for bands. They can have to about 50 bands every year, and if you want to get your group a little bit of recognition and get out there and show off a little bit, give them a call at 664-0991 or go to infinityperformingarts.org, all one word, and register your group. And it's a lot of fun, and all the proceeds go to support Infinity. The folks from the Veterans Support Group, it's called Dwyer Happenings. On June 26th, at 1 p.m., there's bowling at a Jamestown Bowling Company, Foote Avenue in Jamestown. And June 27th, 6 p.m., an evening bowling at Jamestown Bowling as well in Jamestown. And then coming up, mark your calendars, Dunkirk, Fredonia, Rotary, their 53rd fly-in breakfast. It's going to be held at Dunkirk Airport, Sunday, July 9th, 8 a.m. to noon. All the pancakes you can eat, eggs, sausage, coffee, and juice. Adults are $7, kids under 12, $4. All the proceeds, of course, go to benefit local charities and various Rotary projects, which are numerous. Public is always welcome. There's free parking, and also get airplane rides available. Craft and other kinds of things are going to be for sale. You got a basket raffle, door prizes, 50-50, and all kinds of good stuff. For tickets, just check out any Rotarian that you may know, or the tickets are available at the door. And then Christmas in July, Toys for Tots. It's going to be held July 29th at 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And they're still looking for vendors. And if you're interested, give them a call. Evelyn Wright Kegelmeyer, 661-1429. And I got a few other little quickies here. Chamber of Commerce, all right, for Chautauqua County from Sheila Webster. They're letting you know that they have all kinds of various activities are going on. They have a free business summit July 7th at LECOM Health, called the LECOM Health Challenge, and planning succession planning for family-run businesses, and that's going to be held 9 a.m. Friday, July 7th at the Retreat Lodge at Peak and Peak Resort. So if you had seen the show before with Sheila, all kinds of services and opportunities for your business. And they have a chamber golf tournament that will be held on July 10th. And if you're interested, give them a call about that at 484-1101 or 366-6200. And that is going to be held at the course at Peak and Peak. And then just to let you know that the Hanover Chamber is going to sponsor the July 3rd concert in their town. And the band Dark Horse Run will be performing there. They'll be starting at 6:30 and so forth, and there's going to be fireworks and all kinds of good things. So when we have an opportunity to share information with you, we try to do that. So that's a little bit from the Chamber of Commerce Corner. And right with me right now is my writing partner, Randy Burt. Randall, how you doing, buddy?
Well, I found out how you got back.
How did I get?
There's no place like home.
No place like home.
I snapped my fingers. I'm at Niagara Falls, and here I am.
We have our helmets here, and as we said, this is a pre-recorded show, and Randy and I will not be here live. Randy's usually on the other side of the camera, and so you talked me into this. So how long have you been doing the ride for Roswell, Randy?
Well, I've been doing it for 10 years. This will be my 6th ride.
What happened the other 4 years?
I don't know what happened. I got the first year in, I did like almost 70 miles, and then after that, I just had a break until I mixed up with, that Galen guy.
Oh, Galen Zook.
And after I got Galen, the next year we picked up another partner.
Yeah, Jeff.
It's Jeff, and now we're picking up our other partner, which is yours
truly. Okay.
And
so
I think we're going to have a good time.
Yeah, so we can take some pictures for the show that we can.
We better take a lot of pictures.
We'll have a collage of pictures when we get back.
If I remember to bring my SD card. Last year I took the camera, left my SD card in my bag at the hotel, and it was like, that didn't work well.
Right. Well, I'll have my iPhone as a backup. So, Randy, you guys talked me into doing the 44-mile bike ride. This is not a race, right?
No, it's just a ride. Don't
All right, so I don't have to worry how fast I go or how slow. Do people go like real slow?
Me.
You? Okay. Okay. So, exactly where are we starting, where are we going, and what are we going to be doing?
We're going to start at Roswell Cancer Institute. It's in Buffalo. And about probably 2 miles into the ride.
What time are we going to start this thing?
6:30.
What?
Yeah.
I don't look good at 6:30. I don't look good at 10 o'clock either, but...
We're going to try to get on to 6:30 start. They're going to start 200 people every 10 minutes for an hour.
200 people
so
every 10 minutes?
So they don't overwhelm the
How many
customs.
people is that?
It's a lot.
Holy... And that's at the 44-mile rate?
That's a 44. Some are doing 26.
Oh, okay. So why didn't we do the 26?
Because it's no fun. It's not even a challenge.
That's true. I did 22 miles the other day. It was no big deal.
It's like 44 is great.
All right, so we're gonna leave Roswell somewhere in the morning.
We're gonna
We're gonna get our bikes out. All right, then what are we gonna do?
We're gonna go to the Peace Bridge.
The Peace Bridge.
You know the Peace
That's
Bridge?
way up high.
Yeah.
It's windy up there.
No,
it's okay.
it's not bad,
Seagulls.
yeah. So we're gonna go over the Peace Bridge. We're gonna get to Canada, and we're gonna wait our
Wait,
turn.
whoa. How do we get into Canada? Do we have to prove something? We have to have our passports, right?
Yeah.
All right, I got to remember to get the passport.
Well, I got a driver's license. I don't have a passport
All
anymore.
right.
So,
if you can't get back in, I'll vouch for you. Okay?
and we're already pre-approved. They'll give us a little thing to wear on our helmets, on our bikes,
right there.
A list. So we'll just talk to the customs guy for a minute or so. And
Okay.
then
No
we'll say,
jokes.
Bye-bye.
No jokes.
Oh no, man! I learned that years ago.
No sense of humor. Okay, so then what?
And we're gonna just follow the river on the Canadian side up to Niagara Falls.
And it's flat there.
It's pretty flat.
Whoa. Pretty flat.
Oh,
I was
pretty
told
flat.
flat as a pancake.
Oh, it's flatter than a pancake.
Good.
It's about like my tires are when I get on them. So once you get up to Niagara Falls, if anybody's ever been on the Canadian side, it's quite a little ride past the falls.
Yeah.
Well, they cone off one lane just for us.
All right. Rain or shine.
Rain or shine, oh yeah.
So we get done, and then how do we get back?
We're going to go down to the Whirlpool Bridge this year.
Okay.
We're going to cross over, and they're going to either escort us through the falls to the old Robert Moses, where there's a bike path.
All right.
And then we'll head onto the Grand Island Bridge, and we'll head back to the University
To
of Buffalo.
cheering crowds as
we're going to... there's gonna
pushing
be,
our bikes.
We're up to almost 7,200 bike riders.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And then they're going to bring family.
Okay.
There's a couple thousand volunteers.
All right, buddy. Well, time's up. We got to go.
Bye.
So, when you see us again, we're going to be thinner, suntanned,
Well.
and we'll see you all in July starting our 4th season here at Chautauqua Sunrise. Thanks, Randy.
Hey, thanks.
Take care.